Hello, friends, and welcome back to Stories About Entitled People. Today we have a new set of crazy stories about crazy people for you to enjoy. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you don't miss a new video every single day. Here we go. Customer get the exact coffee she ordered. I used to work at a large donut/coffee chain that helps people run, if you catch my drift. Morning shift is hectic, tons of people in a rush to get their coffee, the usual. This one regular I've only heard rumors about, thus far appears. She's known for being beyond difficult. She always gets the same thing, medium coffee with all the flavor shots. Problem is, a shot of all the flavors takes up about half the medium cup, so you only get maybe half a cup of coffee, but whatever, not my drink. I give it to her, tell her to have a good one, move on. Somehow she manages to loop back around in line, I'm guessing cutting like 7 or 8 people, and is automatically screaming about how her coffee is made incorrectly, and every time she comes here, we don't give her enough coffee. After about 5 minutes of yelling and holding up the line, my manager pops in and is like, "Sorry, we'll make it again," and looks at me to do it again apologetically. Here's where it gets spicy. This large donut/coffee chain has all the regular coffee flavors, French vanilla, hazelnut, etc., which is what we fill her disgusting cup with, but we also carry other flavors for seasonal drinks and whatnot that are fruity, like mango, strawberry, pineapple, etc. I fill that medium cup with about 20% coffee and every flavor just as the customer requested. How can I not comply with the almighty customer? As I'm looking at my concoction of hazelnut and strawberry mango coffee, I know my boss won't be happy, but for my own sense of justice, I had to. Hand it to the lady with the biggest smile and said, "See you later." Same effing thing. Skips the people she literally just skipped to come back screaming in the window about how we're all incompetent and she's never coming back. Success. Told manager my dark deed. She was PO'd because of health risks. Maybe she was allergic to fruit or whatever, which I didn't think about at the time. Oops. But I didn't get fired, and I could see the visible happiness on my manager's face. Worth it. And our next story. Free roof because my insurance guy wants to play games. My wife's grandmother passed and left us her home in her will. The house was rather large, but had been built in the 1960s and needed updating. We decided to basically gut the home and do a full remodel. First thing was to talk to my insurance guy and see what I needed to do with the insurance. He comes out and explains that I need to do a fire policy, which basically will replace the structure in the event of a major catastrophe. Cool. Insurance in place, I start remodeling. Fast forward 7 or 8 months and I'm done. And so bone-tired and mad at the world that my reflection in the mirror tried to avoid me. I was working a rotating shift, days, evenings, midnights, and spending every waking moment working on this house. 5 hours a day at night was the most sleep I was getting. I'd snap at the wind for blowing, I was so strung out. Cue the insurance guy and his antics. While I was sleeping after working the midnight shift, my wife has insurance guy come to look at the house and change the policy back to full coverage. When I wake up for my next shift, she informs me that we have to put a new roof on before he can change the policy. I almost came unglued. I'd ripped the ceilings out of this house, so if there'd been a roof leak, I'm pretty sure I would have found it. Luckily, this was Friday evening, so I had the entire weekend to calm down and plot my next move. I called first thing Monday morning and set up an appointment for 8 a.m. Tuesday at the house and explained to him that I was on midnights and to please make sure he was there by 8. No particular reason. I just hoped it would discomfort him having to be somewhere else that early in the morning. A jerk move, mostly. Tuesday morning rolls around and he shows up with his boss. At first, this threw me off, but I figured, what the hell, 2 birds, 1 rock and stuff. Me. Insurance guy, how's it going? Insurance guy. Pretty good, how are you? Me. Tired. How about you show me exactly what's wrong with this roof so we can get going? Sure thing. Step right over here. You see that shingle? Yeah. See how bad a shape it's in? Sure do. Thinking to myself, hell no, what the F are you looking at? And over there, see that place? Yep, got a bad spot or 2 there also. This roof has taken some serious storm damage. It's in rough shape. We proceed all the way around the house with him pointing at random spots, as far as I could tell, and saying things like, that shingle shot. Those 2. Yeah, and right there. The whole time I just did like a chicken pecking and affirmed with him, yep, you're right. All the while his boss is saying nothing. After he's finished pointing out all these bad places, So see, you'll have to replace the roof before we can cover it. You're right, I'd been so busy on the inside I hadn't paid much attention. So, can you file the claim for me, or do I need to go talk to one of the ladies down at the office? Claim? What do you mean a claim? Well, best I can figure, it was those bad storms back in April that did all this damage, and y'all were covering it through my grandmother-in-law's policy, so I reckon y'all would be who I'm supposed to talk to, right? I like turning the backwoods country accent up to 11 when dealing with people who think they're smarter than me. Adds flavor to the humble pie for them. Well, now, hold on. Nah, you're 100% right. It took some serious storm damage, and we ain't had none since about back in April. Now, I put the fire policy on in July, so any damage would have fell back on the old policy. The insurance guy's now standing there sucking air like it's gonna run out. His boss says he's right, and since they have a year to file that claim, we'll have to do it. Get the paperwork started and let me know if you need help. I'm no roof expert. The roof could have been shot to hell for all I know. It looked good, it didn't leak. After I explained to the adjuster what the whole deal was about, he found enough other stuff wrong so that I wasn't out one nickel on an entire new roof. And our next story. Students pranked me, I had the last laugh. I spent about 10 years teaching high school humanities at a small private school. For my first 2 years, I didn't have a classroom, just a small office. I would bring what I needed to each class on a cart and go from room to room, depending on which teacher had prep at any given time. This was incredibly inconvenient, and not being the most organized of teachers to begin with, made things difficult to keep track of. There was a group of 11th grade boys who decided to make things a little more difficult for me. They were good kids. We got along well. I coached several of them on the school soccer team, but they decided that since my office would often be empty, it was a great place to prank. It was never anything too serious, things falling over when I opened the door or things disappearing for a day, then turning up a different place the next day. Nothing was ever damaged, and I could never prove who it was, even though I knew. My school had mandatory final exams in each academic course. I didn't really think they were necessary, so I would generally make them pretty easy with a lot of preparation. I would give out study sheets and play review games for a couple of weeks before the test, and there was no reason the students wouldn't do well on them. I had approval of admin to do this, and they weren't particularly fond of the final exams rule either. It was a school board policy. A few nights before the offending boys had their exam, I had a brainwave. I created a second exam. Gone were the multiple choice questions and obvious things from the review sheets. In their place came detailed questions about concepts that were briefly mentioned in class. Essay question after essay question. Ambiguous questions with no clear answers. Definitions of words that there was no way they knew. It took a couple hours, but I laughed the whole time. When the test came, I had the special exams at the bottom of the pile and handed them out to each of the 4 or 5 boys. I told my vice principal what was happening, and he insisted on being present. I started the timer and watched as the boys flipped over their papers. It was all I could do to keep a straight face. Eyes went wide, heads were shaking, panic was setting in, especially as they saw all their classmates flying through their exams. One of the boys raised their hand. Sorry, no questions during the final. You should be prepared based on your study sheets. I let them go for about 5 or 10 minutes of terror before I gathered the fake tests and gave them the real ones. They all passed with flying colors and never pranked my office again. It was glorious. And our last story. Made checkout as lengthy as possible after waiting 20 minutes for someone to purchase their items. This just happened today, and I've been dreaming of having a moment like this my whole life. It seems lame, but I had to share. There's this popular home store I go to quite often because I have an addiction to buying throw blankets and coffee mugs. Because of this, all the employees at the store recognize me, and I'm friendly with them. This worked in my favor today. I pull up to the line with a cart that has 15 items in it. There's only one register at this store, and it's pretty empty as there's just one 50-something lady checking out in front of me. It would have been quick, but it took 23 minutes for her to check out. Yes, I timed it. Why, you ask? She had about 20 items, and each and everything that was scanned, she would haggle the price with the cashier. After arguing about the items for a solid 15 minutes, she gets her total and pulls out a wad of coupons. 90% of them ended up being expired and yells at the employee that they're still valid. And after this whole ordeal, speeds off in a brand new Lexus in a huff. New dishware and all. Here's the revenge part. I go to check out as I normally do when lady speeds back up and parks in the fire lane and runs in the store. She tries to cut in line in front of me, and I quickly step up so she doesn't have room. I make small talk with the cashier. They quietly complain that this lady does this all the time. I say, "Watch this." I then begin to do the same thing as her and loudly argue the price of everything. "Are you sure that was $12.99? The blue one was cheaper. Maybe I should go back and get that." "I think those throw pillows were half off. I swear I saw it on a sign somewhere." "Oh no, this one looks damaged. Maybe I get a discount?" Meanwhile, employee is laughing and trying to keep their shoulders from shaking so lady can't see us. Me and employee spent 15 minutes there, and he even slowly wrapped every item, even if it wasn't fragile. He wrapped up a throw pillow 3 times so it didn't get water damage on my way home. It hasn't rained in weeks, LOL. I walk out with a grin on my face, thank God for masks, and hear her screech, "The nerve of some people." Anyway, I think you scanned this item more than once. I already chucked the receipt though, so maybe just a $10 refund? Hey guys, thank you all for watching the video. I'll see you in the next one.